Ladies and gentlemen, in my time as Minister of National Defence, I've had the honor and the privilege of working directly alongside some of the most professional and courageous and dedicated men and women in our country. I've witnessed firsthand how our troops have worked selflessly day in and day out in the defence of Canada, the protection of Canadians, life-saving work overseas and here at home, and towards stability and security around the globe. Past and present, they have all sacrificed, as have their families. Time and time again, the men and women of our proud institution of the Canadian Forces have put the needs of others ahead of their own. For many, that sacrifice has taken the form of time away from home and loved ones, long hours, demanding work, austere and challenging conditions, and often significant risk. These sacrifices are very real, and we acknowledge their importance. When deploying to places like Afghanistan, our soldiers, sailors, air personnel, and our Special Forces operations take on unlimited liability. For some in uniform, the service and sacrifices they make will stay with them the rest of their lives in the form of a physical or mental disability. Our government takes these sacrifices, both large and small, very seriously. And let me reiterate how grateful we are for those sacrifices and how humbled I feel as Minister of National Defence to acknowledge those who have given their all in the service of our country. In fact, the health and well-being of the Canadian Forces personnel are my priority. I have no task as a Minister of Defence that is more important to me. Since 2006, our government has put in place a wide range of programs and benefits to recognize and support members of the military, our veterans, and their families.
Decision, but now this is based on legal ground, so that's make it more reliable both for veterans, for the government, and for the taxpayer.
And we have seen this in other areas, so we sought clarification on that point. There was a lawsuit brought by Dennis Manouche against the department in that regard. So we now have that clarity. It has received considerable legal and judicial oversight, and as a result of that court action, we are now moving forward out of fairness and respect for those veterans to ensure that these benefits are fully paid.
I'm sure you already know. I mean, the Liberals have already got a news release out saying that essentially you're forced into doing this. And if it took a court decision for you to do this, is that not the case?
Well, first of all, check the source. That's what opposition parties do, is criticize no matter what good news announcement is coming out. I think the reaction of Mr. Manouche this morning and veterans that I've spoken to recently is a sense that this is fair, this is the right thing to do. We recognize that, and as a result, these payments will be made in full.
And I would add that not only did the ministers seek and accept judicial clarity, but today we are moving forward and going beyond the decision of the court by harmonizing and uniformizing, making sure that Veterans Affairs program will be working in conjunction with the DND settlement. So that's a way that's clearly showing that we are moving forward. It could
reflect our revulsion and our dismay and disagreement in the extreme with what the Syrian government has been doing. So to that extent, we are continuing to pursue those diplomatic means and working in concert with the international community. Kofi Annan, as you know, and others are pursuing discussions directly with the Syrian government, the regime, in hopes that first and foremost they will cease all violence.
In your experience, sir, can you see perhaps a Security Council resolution sometime in the future, or is that just out of the cards?
Well, look, it's very speculative, and China and Russia in particular have been very reticent to agree to a Security Council resolution, at least one that would mirror similar efforts to try to bring an end to the violence. But we continue to push, along with our partners, along with other UN members, to see that we make the appropriate interventions and do all that we can to help bring an end to the violence in that country.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Chris. CBC News.
Yeah, hi. Tom Parry with CBC Radio.
Tom.
Could you just, on the announcement today, could you explain why it is it took a court decision for the government to come to this position now?
Well, quite frankly, there was an issue of law that needed clarification when it came to benefits that were coming from two different sources.
Affected by this important announcement today, sir. My question's about something different. It's about Syria. Canadians were just horrified when they saw what happened there last week. The video's been seen many times. I know we have kicked out the embassy staff from Canada. Some people are now saying, you know, we intervened in Libya and we helped them militarily with airstrikes. Are you considering that? Is Canada considering that? Is that in the cards in the next few months?
Well, thank you for that very important question. I share that feeling of revulsion and horror when you see the nightly images of what's taking place on the ground in Syria. These are horrendous human rights abuses being perpetrated by the Syrian government on the people. The circumstances there, however, are quite different and distinguishable from what we saw in Libya. The effect on the people, frankly, is no different. And yet we do not have a Security Council resolution. We have not been able to find unanimity around an international intervention were there to be one. And so, frankly, we are pursuing all diplomatic means, including today's announcement that we will require Syrian diplomats here in Canada to leave their embassy, to return to Syria. We have also taken action in Syria with respect to our own embassy and staff and ceased operations there. This is to, on the part of our nation,
de indemnité pour résoudre des enjeux qui persistent. Bien sûr, ce processus sera un effort conjoint entre les ministères de la Défense nationale et les forces canadiennes et le ministère des anciens combattants qui partagent les responsabilités d'offrir cet appui.
Ladies and gentlemen, again, I thank you for being here.
Hi, Minister. Just before I get to a second question, I'm just hoping you can just provide some stats. First and foremost, what is the full payout expected, and how much will that cost the Treasury?
Yeah, Richard, thank you for that question. The reality is this will take some time to calculate, but the shorter answer is we are moving forward as quickly as possible to make that determination, and most importantly, to respond to the needs of veterans who are affected. And so that is the instruction here at the Department of National Defense. We're doing everything in coordination, of course, with Veterans Affairs, and this has the support, of course, of the Prime Minister, the Finance Minister, and we hope to have a timely resolution of this issue as soon as possible.
Okay, and secondly, how far back would this go?
Well, this class action lawsuit began with a single case, and it then expanded to become a class action. So, again, we have to determine some of this detail in consult with the Department of Justice and the claimants themselves.
Thanks very much. We'll move over to Chris Sims of Sun TV.
Hi, Minister MacKay. With all due respect to the veterans who are...
As a result, our government will adopt the position that we will discontinue the offset of long-term disability benefits. Further, the government will continue discussions with the claimants to resolve the outstanding issues of this case. Why now? Well, in short, we sought to clarify the law to ensure that fairness for the forces and for taxpayers was respected, and that the courts, in ruling in favor of maintaining the disability pension, was a decision that we would accept. And so we are following that advice. We continue to stand alongside our veterans. Pour moi, il est évident que ce dossier se trouve devant les tribunaux depuis bien trop longtemps, et qu'il n'y a vraiment pas de raison de retarder les versements des prestations à ceux et celles qui en souffrent à cause des services rendus à notre grand pays. Mesdames et Messieurs, j'annonce aujourd'hui que le gouvernement ne fera pas appel de la récente décision de la Cour fédérale concernant les programmes d'assurance invalidité de longue durée. Par conséquent, le gouvernement appliquera l'ordonnance du tribunal et mettant fin à la déduction des prestations
d'invalidité de longue durée. En outre, le gouvernement va entamer des discussions avec les demandeurs with the costs that come and as a result of their service. These complement the long-term disability group insurance plan for Canadian Forces members that is administered under the Service Income Security Insurance Plan, also known as SISIP. Some would know that recently, just last month, we augmented this program with a $113 million investment in the plan to ensure equality with the treatment of Veterans Affairs Canada. This program has done a tremendous amount of good by giving veterans with a long-term disability a benefit equal to 75% of pre-release salary. However, a number of recipients have felt that they were not receiving all that they were due in conjunction with the long-term disability insurance policy because the value of their disability, a separate benefit, was being deducted from the SISIP program. I have heard from a number of those serving members in the Canadian Forces or veterans who have recently left the service that they felt this was unfair. So we've asked the courts to help us clarify this legal question, this question of coverage. And the courts have ruled that the disability pension should not, I repeat, should not be deducted. I, as well as members of the government, my colleague here today, have made a decision. I've communicated that to Mr. Dennis Menuge this morning in Nova Scotia with his lawyer. And it is clear to me, frankly, that this issue has been held up and been in the courts for far too long, and that there is simply no reason to delay the benefits of those who are suffering as a result of their service to this great country. And so, ladies and gentlemen, today I am announcing that our government will not appeal the recent federal court's ruling with regard to the long-term disability insurance policy known as SISIP.